This podcast is sponsored by Together. My name's Amy and I work for Together Finance. We're a specialist lender who specialise in all sorts of finance. We do bridging, buy-to-let, commercial term, social housing, HMOs, so anything you might need, we might be able to help you. We are known for speed and flexibility. We can do things in really quick turnarounds. We're working partnership with a lot of the auction houses, so anything you need, please get in touch.
Welcome to The Auction Edit, a property podcast about the behind the scenes of the auction industry with myself as one of the hosts, Olivia, aka Queen of the Gavel, as well as Jade, who is the founder of Docuwise. Welcome to the first ever episode of The Auction Edit with myself as one of your hosts, Olivia, aka Queen of the Gavel, and Jade, founder of Docuwise. On this episode, we're going to give you a little bit of a background on who we are as the hosts, what we've done in the industry, and just get to know us a little bit better. So I'd say welcome to the podcast, but it is our podcast. Welcome to us.
Welcome to us.
This is a good start. So why did we want to start this podcast? That's probably a good place to start, isn't it?
I mean, when we first came up with it was probably attending on other people's podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've been on some others, haven't you? You did one recently.
I think we've both done so many podcasts in the last couple of years, and I think we both have the same opinion, don't we? We're friends, and you know, it's always quite property data heavy, which is great. And I think, you know, buyers and sellers and people interested in the auction industry want to know those things, but I think it's nice to have a bit of a fun one as well. And
I think in the auction industry, people do need the education, and it is interesting for people that have no idea, because lots of people still have no idea of auctions. They watch Homes Under the Hammer and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of our guests are going to be interesting. I think a lot of the guests that we have on go on to other podcasts, don't they? And they are very much heavily just into their selling their businesses and what they do, whereas we're going to pull it back to behind the scenes of their actual
we know
characters.
them outside, don't we? So, and
going to ruin them.
Yeah. I think this is the
Buckle
fun
up.
thing is, like, we know these people in the industry, like the auction. We say this quite a lot. Like, the auction industry is quite a small industry in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, everyone gets to know each other, and you've got some very, you know, as auctioneers, we're
Egos.
well known for egos, yes, and you've got some big personalities. So it's nice to kind of get to know the people behind the scenes, and you know, that's probably one of the reasons the Auction Edit was born in the end.
I think so.
Wasn't it?
And it is, like you say, it's a niche industry, but even though it's very heavily competitive, we've got a real group of friends around us and everyone gets on. We all go out, don't we? We all have fun together. So we've got lots of stories.
Lots of stories, yeah.
But I think it's just, we wanted to bring the fun to it, bring out everyone's characters that everyone has kind of seen on Homes Under the Hammer, and you get to see the behind the scenes of whether they're dickheads or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is going to be no filter, this podcast. So expect swearing. Obviously, if you've met Jade, we know. So, yeah, you'll get to know us both a bit better. And, you know, especially, I think, should we start with where we met? That's always a good place to
that's
start.
a great story. Should we go with that one?
Should I say it from my side, I think?
Okay, you say it from your side.
Okay, fine. Well, I mean, give it a bit a background about me first.
Yeah.
So, obviously, as I mentioned, I'm, you know, an auctioneer, property and land auctioneer, based in the south of England, for Auction House. And I have been in the property industry for, going over 15 years now. First started in the estate agency world and then moved over to auctions about 5 years ago. So I have lived and breathed auctions, completely fallen in love and gone to the dark side, as I say quite a lot. But so that's kind of my background and what I do. How we first met. Obviously, I've mentioned I'm like south of England, so I'm probably a bit more of a country bumpkin, aren't I?
Yeah.
And when I first joined auctions, I started coming up to London a bit more. And I think it was like the first time I'd come up, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the EIG event that I'd organised that I invited you to.
Oh, it was like the
wasn't it,
lost
that you-
puppy coming up on the I'm one of those on the tube that is like following their phone map, knowing what stops to get off. And I walked into the EIG event, which for anyone that doesn't know, Essential Information Group, big company in auctions, and they host the live stream auctions for a lot of auctioneers. They host all the legal packs, and they used to run events. They still do as well, don't they?
Yeah.
But Jade previously was there, and I walked into this event at the Dickens Inn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm like 6 foot. For anyone that's not met me in person, I am like over 6 foot tall. So I'm a big girl, and it's, you know, with heels on, even taller. Yeah. And I walked into this room and I didn't know anyone in London at the time. So it's daunting, and you put on a front. And as I walked in, I have you come running over to me, put your head straight into my boobs, because everyone's
Hi.
that head height, and link straight onto
And
me.
you awkwardly didn't let go for a while.
Yeah. And I think the first thing I said to you was, do we know each other? And you were like, no, but I've watched you on the screen.
Stalker.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, we haven't met. I've just stalked you on Instagram and watched your live stream.
As if that's exactly the same. So, but, that was, how this friendship
For me,
was
I
born.
was very, I'm so intrigued by you for a female, being an auctioneer in the UK as well. I'm one of the only female auctioneers. So I was like girl power with it. It was seeing you get up and smash
Your
it as
excitement
much
took
as
over,
was.
didn't it?
It was,
Yeah.
yeah. My Labrador came out
And we've just been friends ever since.
Yeah.
So, which is good. And like you said, it's nice, I think, to find women in the industry because it is a very male-dominated industry.
Yeah.
It's great to have those allies and just to be able to talk about things that, the male auctioneers don't have to deal with.
That's
It is,
tits
as
and
much
teeth.
as we hate it, the tits and teeth thing, there's probably a lot of things that have been said to me on an auction that, Andrew Binstock in London probably wouldn't have had said to him.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that support. So.
I think we've both got quite masculine energy and like tough skins, haven't we?
Yeah.
We don't take anything. It is kind of water off a duck's back, but it is very different for us too. So it takes a lot
nice
harder
to
work
have.
for us to get where we've got than it probably would others.
Yeah.
Not being a complete feminist and all that.
Yeah.
We are probably the
Girl
complete
power.
opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think you'd say a bit about your background and where you started.
I'm a lot older than Olivia. Just a little bit. I started my kind of property journey when I was about 17, 18, started working for the Essential Information Group with David Sandeman. I went on my interview very hungover there, and I think I was told I was the best of a bad bunch, but Tom Shepherd gave me a good plug
Hats
and
off
kept
to Tom.
me on. Thanks, Tom. So worked at the EIG for 21 years. I left last year to do Docuwise. As Olivia said, EIG is like the right move for the auction industry. So I met all the auctioneers along the way, hence why I've got a lot of friends and really call them family friends in the industry now. Some are retired. Shout out John Weatherall.
Yeah.
And it was just a journey of meeting all the auctioneers, developing the softwares that came through with EIG and online auctions, went through the whole journey of COVID, which I'm sure we'll touch on later in later episodes with some of the auctioneers, and created Docuwise, which is an AI legal pack reader, summariser report, which the auctioneers are all now kind of integrating into their website. It's integrated into EIG, so that's what I did before I left EIG. We integrated in. So anyone downloading a legal pack can go either to the auctioneer's website or to EIG, or come direct to Docuwise, download the legal pack, upload it to Docuwise, and in about 5 minutes it'll create a legal report. So it's proving really popular, especially with buyers, traders, auctioneers using it internally as well.
Taken off.
Yeah, it has. I think it's come at a good time in the industry, hasn't it? With a lot of the traders and maybe hidden fees and things like that.
We talk about it a lot, don't we? And
we do. I think trading's it's boomed though, hasn't it? With trading, everyone is either thinks they're a trader or is a big trader. So it's
some get it very wrong as well.
Some do get it very wrong. Some do get it very wrong.
And I think this is where people get stung. I think one of the reasons I love Docuwise so much is because as an auctioneer, I want more people to buy at auction. I want more people to sell at auction. And, if it's the right type of property, it should go in the auction room, a better price, better for the client.
Yeah.
But I think when people have a bad experience at auction, it's so short-term kind of thinking, isn't it, for traders?
So daunting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Already without then getting stung after the auction.
It's a scary process. I think it puts people off. And then the moment they get stung, that's it. They don't want to buy at auction ever again. And, it just defeats
and then the auctioneer's to blame because something went wrong, and then that's your reputation. That's it. So the Docuwise can just hopefully give a layer to the auctioneers and the buyers and just a bit more transparency, make things look a little bit less daunting, a bit of a decision maker as to whether you want to proceed with a property. If you see there's hidden fees in there and they're almost as much as a deposit, just leave it alone.
Yeah, or at least factor it in.
Factor it in into your budget. I think that's what people need to understand. Is a lot of people, especially with the traders that put the fees or anything like that in, a lot of them say, they're reasonable because I will factor it into my budget. It's the people that don't realise when they are purposely hidden and they aren't. People
and then
can't
you
see
hit your budget in the auction room when you're bidding, and then you realise afterwards you've got 7, 8, 9 grand's worth of fees.
Yeah.
Then it really eats into your profit then, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
What made you start Docuwise?
Working in the auctioneers' offices, I think with EIG, when we were developing the softwares to make auctioneers' lives easier, like just kind of streamlining everything, EIG had auction passports, so that was updating people when new documents were added. So special conditions, as you know, uploaded quite late into the auction cycle, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's kind of because there's probably stuff in there that might be hidden,
Yeah.
or they're put together by the seller, aren't they? So it's kind of a bit of a freedom report there. But yeah, so seeing the auctioneers having these issues after the auctions, they were getting the blame for things in there. EIG were updating that documents were uploaded. And back when there was room auctions, you would have special conditions being uploaded so late in the day, almost a day before the auction, or even sometimes the morning. And if people were on the tube going to the actual venue, they wouldn't see that bid and then maybe not have gone to the contracts desk or anything like that. So hopefully, I mean, this is like with your auction. When you announce Docuwise on the rostrum now, I will see people come on quickly and download a Docuwise report because they may not have had time, or they were daunted by it, or
well, we have it so much. And like the one thing for me when I went from estate agency to auctions is like, estate agency, you would dread someone making an offer if they hadn't viewed it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just a no-go. Whereas in the auction industry, like so many people don't view properties, but so many people don't even read the legal pack, which is the amazing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think like for us, and I see it quite a lot, as you said, you know, I'll talk about Docuwise when I intro the auction, and someone might have, you know, they were interested in bidding on lot 2, you know, and they miss out on lot 2, but actually lot 50 odd is, you know, looked really attractive. It doesn't
similar type property. They've still got the excitement. They've got the funds ready.
The auction is going. You're not going to solicitor to review that in that time, like during the live auction. So, you know, Docuwise is great, isn't it, to give people that bit of a confidence. And I have buyers that will buy based on the fact that they will do a Docuwise report during the live auction.
You had someone come in, didn't you?
Yeah, post-auction. Yeah, we had it in the last auction, didn't we, where I had a buyer that came to the office, missed out on 2 properties or that they didn't sell, came in and, you know, we printed out the Docuwise reports then and there, went through it and got the offers before he'd even left the office. So it's just such a handy tool as an interim. Obviously, we always say, you want to get a solicitor to review the legal pack, best practice, but it's better than not doing anything.
It's better than not doing anything.
Which, you know, I think people are always shocked, aren't they? The amount of people that don't. I don't know. What's EIG stats?
I think David's stats was something like 40%. Might be even higher.
There's us saying this isn't going to be a stats-heavy podcast.
Okay, 40%-ish of people, haven't even read the legal pack, hadn't downloaded it.
Nearly half of the buyers that win properties. And that's like not including the ones that download it but don't read it.
They kind of put a lot of like assurance in you guys being like, well, they're not going to lie to us. You haven't got the time to go through every legal pack yourself. No. Some auctioneers I know do, but that's why they use it internally.
Yeah, so we'll do Docuwise reports on the legal pack because we used to sit and read all the legal packs when we were a smaller auction. But the bigger auction house you get, you know, you're not going to read. You get 100 lots in there. You can't read every.
But at least it safeguards you going forward, or the auctioneers that can't do it. The least that button's on there. And I know a few of the traders that I've been working with kind of this last year, they almost want it on as well. If there is things in there that they want people to be aware of, a Docuwise is almost another layer for them. So
we've seen some funny like fees, haven't we?
Well, some of these they're just plucking.
There was one that we saw and it was the seller's efforts to market the property. And it was like 3-4 grand or something like that.
In addition to another 4 or 5.
So there's still other fees in there. So you're basically paying the seller a thank you for sourcing the property and benefiting from selling the property to this person and making money, which is, you know, what they're planning to do anyway. But you need to pay them as a thank you. That's basically for their effort. For doing it. So yeah, I think that one was a crazy one. I think the anti-embarrassment clause, like we talk about that a lot, but I think a lot of people don't know what that is.
No, I was on a podcast the other day and they didn't know. I think it can be called a few different things, can't it? But I think the anti-embarrassment clause that people don't realise, especially for the traders, not being able to, a clause being in the legal pack that you can't resell that property within 12 months. And if you do, you have to pay that entire profit back to the receiver or whoever the previous owner was of that property.
Yeah.
So you might have forked out all of that money for absolutely nothing.
And we know people that have been stung by that.
Oliver Adams.
Yeah. Yeah. We weren't going to name names, but yeah, I think, there was one person that we knew who, you know, bought a block of flats, spent I think it was 4 months getting tenants out, getting vacant possession, you know, obviously instantly increasing value on it, resold it back at auction and had to give all that profit back to the original seller. So, you know, I think that one's an important one for people to keep an eye out
I think people don't realise a lot about the clause clauses and things like the rescinding of contracts. So
Yeah.
it's things like that that just it's easily explained and highlighted in the pack. It's very different to private treaty, and I think people think it's so similar, and it's obviously a much quicker process, which is why lots of people come to auction, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got the speed.
Quicker for cash flow.
That's it.
Yeah, speed and certainty. I think they're the two main reasons people love auctions. Sellers and buyers. You know, if you're planning to do work, you can pick up keys much quicker. You can get those works done. You can get it turned over. You can sell it back on the open market. So I think there's so many pluses to auctions, and we both are, aren't we? We're diehard fans of auctions. But I am a firm believer that it's all about knowledge. You know, as long as you understand the process, as long as you understand, you know, the caveat is on you as a buyer to do all your investigation. You know, if you don't feel comfortable, don't bid.
Don't bid.
You know, that's what I say this to people. You know, every auctioneer does. Yeah, if you're not comfortable, if there's information there that, you know, you feel it should be there and you haven't managed to actually find it, don't bid. You know, that's the easiest thing to say. So I hear it quite often where people say, well, this has to be in the legal pack, you know, and no, it doesn't. You know, legally, it doesn't have to be in there to be offered to be sold. So if you want it, you do need to go out and do some investigation as well. So, but then you can find some great deals. That's it. And
it's having the right tools, isn't it, available to you to be able to go and find the deals and connections and getting to know the auctioneers. I mean, you always say, don't you, that if you want someone to put an offer in post-auction, do it straight after the auction on that day. And it's if you've got a good relationship with you and people are nice and polite, because manners get you everywhere, and that's a lot to do in auctions. It's
so true. We do talk about this. Like, I teach my team, like, the more of a wanker somebody is, the lower on the priority list they go.
Yeah.
You know, if they are nice to deal with and, you know, polite and just a generally nice buyer or seller, you are going to bend over backwards and help them. Yeah. You know,
and I think a lot of people don't realise that, do they? And it's like, I think people think, not a lot of auctioneers obviously like to sell prior. Yeah, exactly. I'm not a fan of selling prior, just because most auctioneers, you want it to go to the room, and most sellers want it to go to the room as well. You're going to get the best price.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and I think this is what people forget a lot of the time, when properties are priced, they are priced to attract 5, 6, 7, 8 bidders. You, as an auctioneer, when you're pricing something, it's all about getting as many people competitively bidding for that lot in order to drive the price up and get the best price. So when people make pre-auction bids, like one of my pet hates, it's like they come in and go, oh, okay, well, I think the reserve's about here, so I'll offer you the reserve or under the reserve, and you get that quite a lot. You know, if you're going to offer the reserve, the seller might as well just put it to auction. You know, and any good auctioneer is telling them that as well, unless, you know, and I always say there's 2 reasons why people will sell something prior. Either they've got no other interest on it and you're that only buyer that's come in beforehand and they think, right, okay, we're not going to get that in the auction room.
And you see all of that using the systems like the EIG systems. You can see all of that. You can see who's downloaded the
brother nowadays, isn't it?
You can see it all. So you can go back to your seller and say, look, you haven't had any interest, either renegotiate the reserve to bring it down, or if you have got offers or one offer, then you know that.
Well, I say so often, like, you know, I'm probably different because I've only ever done live stream, so I've not, you know, other than a charity auction, which, oh my God, was like, you know, so daunting. But actually doing live stream auctions, it's in a room with, you know, my team, a camera, but we can see everything, can't we, nowadays?
You're that young. You just didn't do room auctions, did you, at all?
I didn't, no.
Did you ever go to one?
Yeah, I've been to room auctions, but I've never actually, you know, hosted one. I remember when I did my first charity auction and, you know, obviously people ask you because you're an auctioneer, and then I turned up and, oh my God, it was horrible. Like, I've done a few now, so.
I think you said, didn't you? You couldn't even see the crowd because the lights
just
kind of on
not used to it, and like no one teaches you. I mean, like for me, like I had 1 day's auctioneer training, you know, and it was 1 day where we took 3 properties each, you know, the people that were on this training day, and you basically had to go through 3 different scenarios. So you just had, you know, first lot sells really well, and you do a little fake auction basically in front of everyone, which one is daunting in itself, but you do a little fake auction, you know. First time you do it, everything sells. You know, it's nice and easy. You've got people bidding. Then you've got ones which are a little bit tougher, and you're just doing these fake auctions. But it's 1 day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, right, off you go, you know, and you just got to go live.
Wing it.
And just wing it. And
like we are right now.
Hope to God it freaking goes okay. I remember like the first ever auction I did. You watched my first ever one.
All of them.
Do you know what I remember? I'd like, this is probably very personal, but like when I get nervous, I will still talk loads, don't I? But I get a really bad dry mouth, don't I?
Yeah.
Like that.
And I can see when she's got it and she's like,
I know. Like, it's the only thing that shows when I'm nervous is the dry mouth. And I remember doing my first ever auction, and I was up in Norfolk where our head office is, doing it there. So none of my team were around. It was all people I don't normally work with. And I did like the last 3 lots of the auction. And my mouth, oh my God, it was so dry. And my top lip kept getting stuck on my tooth. And I was thinking, no, it's fine. No one's noticed. It's fine. Like, it'll be fine.
Didn't your mum text you straight after? It's like, what happened to your lip?
I came off and I was like,
sorry.
I've done my first
Like me
auction.
before I had lip filler.
I literally said to the team there, I was like, did anyone notice and they were like, no one noticed. It was so discreet. Like, you would never have known. I was like, oh, amazing. Went outside, rang my mum all excited. Yeah, I rang my mum and she was just like, what the fuck were you doing with your mouth? And I was like, great. If you noticed.
Thanks.
Yeah. But that was the first time. And then after that, you just wing it, don't you?
If anyone can find that recording anywhere, I would love to see it again. And we would maybe just snap to that in the podcast.
But yeah, and then a few years on now, and it's fine.
Yeah, I think we've partnered up pretty well, I think, over this year, and obviously meeting you at EIG, and now between us, obviously, became great friends straight away, hit it off immediately. But we've actually naturally almost partnered up now with me leaving Docuwise. It's a daunting thing. I worked with for a salary for EIG for 20 years to then go out on my own. So my kind of what I would say is my team is you guys, really, all the people around me. We always say it's like an ecosystem. We're all helping each other.
And you are like a boss lady. Like, you've done it with 2 young kids, gone out. Like, anyone that's gone self-employed knows how much of a risk that is.
Yeah, it is daunting. But I think it was having the support, and it was the auctioneers like you, Binny, everyone kind of saying it is really needed in the industry at this very moment. It's so unregulated. Anything is going to help. If it helps promote people to auctions, just go for it. And so I did.
Yeah.
Here I am.
And the podcast isn't the first thing we do together. Like, we've started we do quite a lot of talks together nowadays.
I think the duo act works well as well, because you can give the history of like the industry of as you know it and how the auction process works. And then I'm kind of like, I slot in.
Yeah. Slide in with your due diligence. Yeah.
Slide in with the DD.
Yeah. Slide in with your DD halfway through. I
feel like I'm getting a dry lip. Yeah. We've spoken about it. I need to drink.
You're going to be really conscious of it. I know.
I'm like,
I know. It's very, and this is another thing. We're both very ADHD, aren't we? So
yeah, this is going to be the
poor man put the microphones in front of us, and
we're both like,
yeah. I know.
Guy that goes,
I know.
Like this tick.
We can't do ticks on there.
Ticks.
But no, we've done quite a lot of talks. I think I'm very big on raising awareness about auctions, and that's why we link in so well with Docuwise as well as a business model.
We like to say Snow White, and you are so, everyone that meets you is always like, you have educated yourself so well on everything, and you prize yourself on doing everything the right way and bringing the transparency forward. And I think having that fresh eyes, how long have you been in auctions now? 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think it was a great time for you to come in once kind of the changes have happened. But were you just coming, I suppose, just as after COVID, I suppose?
Yeah. Just, I think as
so it's a whole new industry.
That weird 2nd and 3rd lockdown time.
Yeah.
That's when I joined auctions.
But really an ideal time for you to come in, because everyone was in the same boat. All the people that I knew from years and years ago had all had to readjust, and you kind of came in. So everyone was readjusting and you were starting afresh.
I think that helped give me a bit of a leg up.
Yeah.
Leg up, yeah. Not leg over, leg up. It gave me a leg up in the industry because I didn't really have any like preconceived kind of expectations of what auction should be. It was just the new way of doing it.
This is it, yeah.
Yeah, and I love it because I think, live stream auctions, like, especially where I am, like down in Devon, where I'm from, auctions for me, when I was an estate agent, was like, you'd have to take a day off, go to some little shitty hotel somewhere in the ass end of nowhere. And, you don't know if you're going to get that lot, that's a lot of time spent.
Travel.
Yeah, whereas now, like, people bid from all over. Like,
people are sat on the beach, aren't they, bidding?
Sat in their underpants and, bidding on
underpants. That's on the ick list.
We do.
We do need to touch on our ick list.
We do have an ick list.
And a few auctioneers heavily.
The girls will feel us on this.
Yeah.
The girls will feel us.
There was a girls one. We started it joint notes, didn't we?
Yeah.
And the girls started adding, and then we stupidly allowed some men to join the ick list, and they started a female one. So through the episodes, we will hint towards who's on certain parts of the ick list if you won't give it away.
Yeah.
When someone sits
It's an
or how
enjoyable
they
ick list,
are.
though. Like, for anyone that knows, like, when you have a joint notes on iPhone, it will update the other person every time you add an ick to it.
Yes.
So it's something that's kept on kind of
So
spiraling.
the timing of when an ick's added, I would ring Olivia and go, what just happened?
Yeah. What have you just
Who was
seen?
it?
Yeah. Yes, we do. We do.
So that's going to be some...
But we should talk about property things. Yeah.
Let's do property,
We've
not just the ick
digressed.
list.
Yeah.
We have
We've digressed.
ADHD.
I know. Full loop round.
But it's going back to the live streams. I think when COVID happened and everyone had to change over to online auctions, it was myself and I think Tom and the EIG team, Rob, everyone there. We were transferring everyone over in a mad panic when that lockdown happened, transferring everyone to have an online auction. It was very much a dent to all the auctioneers' egos because all of a sudden they weren't, and the live streams, I don't think was set up straight away. It was a lot of eBay style just to get it going. Then we were getting the people back to almost do the hybrid style, or they could stand in front of a camera, so they still had their kind of famous stance on the rostrum. You're peacocking, exactly. But it's funny to see some of the opinions of the auctioneers who did like standing up in front of him, who actually now like the eBay style. I mean, Charlie from Strakers, who we were with the other week,
He loves it.
He loves it, and Paul Fosh, he commentates while the auction's going on. So people take their own, I think, way in which they promote it and handle it, and they fly their own flag for it, don't they?
Yeah.
So.
And I do think it makes a difference, like, regionally.
It does.
This was another thing, wasn't it? Like, when I joined, like, there was such a big need for, like, the big London auction room, like, years before COVID. I think, you know, that's where the money was. That's where your good investors would be. You know, there was a real kind of need to put it into a London auction room to get the best price. And I think when COVID hit and it went into kind of, you know, live streams, eBay bidding style, then the regionals really took off. Yeah. Because I think, you know, one, they could give better advice because they knew the areas, you know, and they knew what worked in their areas. Like, you know, especially for me down in the south, like, I know Devon and Cornwall, they're old school. Like, and I can say this because I'm from there, like, we are old school. They like the show of, like, you know, the catalogue, you know, and it being like a live auction, and it generally does get the best price. Whereas the closer I find you go to London, the more the eBay bidding style works, because people are a little bit more savvy to auctions. You know, they can just kind of get on with it.
Almost doing it on their phones as you're...
Whereas we have a huge amount of telephone bidders, you know, I always say it covers every generation, and we've got a lot of the older generation down there. They feel more comfortable being on the telephone. So I think you've really got to know your area to know what suits that area.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think a lot of the auctioneers now, when I think we're still trying, I remember at EIG that they were still trying to ask people with the tool of eBay, even if you're doing a live stream, you're still, because you hold weekly auctions, don't you?
Yeah.
So you'll do your
weekly
live stream
ones,
and then you do your weekly time ones. So there's a place for both. You've got auctioneers that are so dead just live stream only.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because when we do panels, and I think, like,
there's always, when you've got like the 5 auctioneers, it's always like everyone's trying to snatch the mic.
Well, this is what I find funny, and I think that a lot of auctioneers are obviously male, aren't they? And, you know, this is nothing against the males because we've got lots of male friends, but there is a lot more ego in it. And, you know, it's funny when we go on a panel.
They like the sound of their own voices.
Fucking hell, they fight over a microphone. Like, you'll be talking on the panel and they're like this.
I know.
Edging,
like, I'm always like, it's going
like
to Olivia first.
And you're like, all right, let them have it. It's fine. You know, but that's their time. And, you know, and they're all big personalities, aren't they? And they all want their time to talk. But, you know, some people are like diehard live stream. Some people are diehard like the timed auctions. And I do both. And I think, like you said, there is a time and a place for both.
Because I think it works, doesn't it? If you've got your unsold properties, you can put them on after sale. Or if you've got the time deadlines, because I think that's a lot with auctions. And I know, like Andrew Binstock, he did a bespoke auction.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to lose lots to, say, another auctioneer. So he's like, okay, well, we'll now almost set dates that works with certain sellers and break down the auction. I mean, he's got like 300
I think it's
lots.
like, and it's more important now to have regular auctions than it is to have big catalogues. You know, I think before there was so much onus on.
It's just the days
I've
go
got
on.
300-400 lots in my catalogue, and isn't that amazing? But for most sellers, like if I was selling, I wouldn't want to be a lot 223
at 8 p.m. at night. No,
because most people have like tuned out by then. But I think, you know, or you're not going to get the best price for it. Whereas the smaller bespoke auctions, there's more of a show, more time spent on those lots to generate a better price.
I think it's still that cycle, isn't it, of everyone doing the kind of every month and doing almost like people would put their catalogue together. I know, obviously at EIG again, they would put all their lots together, bits of paper on a table, putting all the lots together, and they just release the lots all in one go. Whereas now, you'll advertise your properties as soon as you get the instruction. They're online, whether it's lot number TBA.
Yeah.
but you can kind of structure it that way as well, can't you?
Yeah.
If you do, and I know some people, some of the auctioneers that I worked with, they would put like eBay style auction before the auction started, or however they maybe ended a week before, so they could negotiate the reserve to say if there is no interest on it and someone's being, say, bits kind of restricted on, no, I want the reserve at this, you can use it as a negotiation tool with the vendor, can't you?
Yeah. And like we said, you see everything. Like, I think a lot of people don't realise that we can see when you hover over the bid button. Yeah, you'll hear me say quite often during the auction, just flash me.
Yeah.
If you want a little bit of extra time, not too much, but
wiggle that mouse.
Give it a wiggle and I'll buy you a couple of seconds. Yeah. But it does. Like, I think this is the thing nowadays, we can see everything. So we can see when people are hesitating and they're thinking about putting bids in. We can see when, you know, there is a lack of interest in the lead up to the auction, and we can then obviously advise the client so much better nowadays. You know, before you would just turn up to an in-room auction and, you know, you probably know, like, the worst ones are like when you've got the sellers there, the auction team, and hardly any buyers.
Yeah.
And that's so much harder to do. Whereas, like, I think nowadays we can see everything in that lead up, how many people have downloaded the legal pack, you know, how many people are pre-registering to bid, because obviously you have to pre-register.
Yeah.
So all of that gives you a really good indication of actually how well this auction's going to go. Obviously, you never know for definite. You know, I've had it where you have 8, 9, 10 bidders there and then just no one bids. You know, you can't foresee everything, but at least we can protect the sellers as much
as possible.
Yeah, as much as possible.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. So
it would be nice to hear from a lot of the different auctioneers as well with their stories, and we're going to bring some different topics out on kind of people's worst lots. If they offered something that they're thinking, why the fuck is this selling?
Things you want to know from an auctioneer. I think
worst
that's the thing, isn't
best
it?
lot, or what have you done? How have you fucked up on the rostrum and covered it up? Like, there's so many funny stories that I think people never see. You see the glossy homes under the hammer very quick.
Well, so many times,
the live
like,
streams.
We talk about auctions, don't we? And we always say it's like, you know, that when people talk about a duck on water and your feet are going mental underneath, you know, there's so many times where I look so calm on the screen. Yeah. There's probably everything's fucking going wrong behind, technical wise and all those things.
Well, on the live stream, I remember one of the fuck ups that we used to see at EIG, because obviously we did the sales vision, so the live stream was shown through EIG. Was people not turning their mics off between the lots. And you'd obviously, as an auctioneer, I know there was a couple that we overheard. I'm reading through going, turn your mic off, turn your mic off. They're like, well, that was fucking hard. Who was that dickhead that didn't bid on that one? And you're like, oh, turn it off.
I know of one where they'd switched auctioneers and then he went to the toilet with his microphone still on, and they all had to run down and bang in on the door. Oh, yeah, not fun. That's the only thing, isn't it?
You've got to be so careful. And I think the auctioneers also need to remember that we can lip read. It's very like, you've got to be like, you've almost got to turn around and put the catalogue in front of your face. Yeah.
Because you're thinking about so many things. I think this is the thing that people don't realise with auctioneers is, like, when I'm doing an auction, I'm not just going, oh, look, I've got one Acacia Avenue. Who wants to put a bid in? You know, I've got probably proxy bids that are on my sheet. So for anyone that doesn't know what a proxy bid is where a buyer can't attend the auction at all, you know, might not have... can be contacted, and then they will give us their maximum bid before the auction starts. So that will be on my sheet as the auctioneer. So will the reserve. So quite often I might have multiple proxy bids. I'll have telephone bidders in front of me. I will have the reserve. You know, I'll have everything there. So you're thinking about so many different things, all while you've got a lovely straight face and, you know.
And more lots coming, not just that one lot that you're dealing with. It's everything else that you've got to remember. Do you still have the catalogue like in front of you? Like, you call it, the auctioneers call it the auction Bible, with all like your notes. So
well, I do sheets. Yeah, I have like my sheets, and then I'll write notes on. So I literally write a game plan the night before, and I'll put notes on each property, and then hope to God it goes that way. Yeah. But if it doesn't, then you just it's live, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that was the scary thing for me, is like going from like being an estate agent, loving property, knowing what I'm doing and things, to being live. There's no like other jobs where you just go live,
just go
online,
live.
And you can fuck up and you can do all these things.
It's so true, actually, isn't it? I mean, estate agency and I mean just generally, and how slow everything is on that side of things. You don't even realise that actually that property's going to sell then or not.
And you're exchanging it. You know, this is the thing I remind people is, like, estate agents don't exchange their properties. You know, we're the only ones other than solicitors that will do an actual exchange. So, you know, everything with auction, and it's the same for buyers as it is for us auctioneers, everything is about what happens before the auction. The prep that you do beforehand, making sure you've got all your ducks in a row, that when you come to offer that property on the day, you know, it's right to be offering it, you know, and it's going to hopefully go well. And protect the seller. I think one of the things I love about auctions is I'm very much like, the little old ladies that need help, and, guiding people that aren't used to selling. That's something that I love doing,
Yeah, and
That's
you do a lot for charity around locally where you are as well, don't you? So you've
Do
raised
charity
quite a bit
ones.
of money, haven't you,
Yeah.
recently? So
Yeah, did a wing walk. That was fun, wasn't it? Fucking...
I'm doing a hike
I
this
did.
weekend.
Well, hike's all right. Your feet are on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I
really
did a
like
wing walk
walking.
because I'm scared of heights, and I was too scared to do a skydive. So I thought the wing walk was the easier option.
No,
And then as soon as I booked it, everyone was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
just boot me out
And
that plane.
well, no, just strap me to it. And the thing is, I was so excited. I was actually excited when we got round to it, but and everyone said, right, we need to have this video for social media. I dribbled the whole time. Like the moment
More than normal.
More than normal. Yeah. And the plane took off and the camera was like here. And then obviously my dribble only came that side of my face. So that's all you could see.
Some more footage
flight.
we need to get hold of there.
Yeah. Basically, if you want footage of me looking extremely unattractive, got loads. Yeah, always got loads of that. So it's fine. I think this is a thing, though. You just get to a point where you just have to laugh at things, don't you?
Yeah, and I think a lot of I remember speaking to Charlie recently, actually, and I was saying whenever I've done my events recently, and I haven't always been a public speaker, and I'm still not because I swear too much. But he was like, you just got to stop giving a shit about what people think. And I was like, I don't, personality-wise, I don't really give a shit what anyone thinks. But suddenly I was like,
but public speaking's different, though, isn't it?
Public speaking is, and you've got if you're being either paid to speak to people, or you've got a room full of people that are paying to be there, you have a responsibility to give them a show or give them the right information, not just swear your way through it like I was basically doing at the beginning.
You know your stuff. Like
I do, yeah.
You are so knowledgeable about the industry, and I think it's not just Docuwise that you've just started up and then you've just done that fresh.
Yeah, it's not. I just
gap in the market, and that's it.
Technology is just it's.
And I think 20 years worth of backing of working literally in auctions that whole time.
And it's the auctioneers are feeding into it and updating it constantly. Yeah. When people say to me, "Oh, well, I could use ChatGPT," and I'm like, "Go on then." But it's more the auctioneers are updating it. They're the ones that are saying the traders saying to me about the anti-embarrassment clause. It's saying add that in.
GPT. Oh no, don't.
Yeah, but I mean, me too.
I love it. Therapy. I'll chat to it.
Best friend.
Free therapy, but I probably wouldn't use it to look at a legal document for me because, like you said, you need to know that every single question that you're asking it. You need to know exactly what you're looking for, and most people buying an auction don't know what they're looking for until they see it.
You don't know.
So yeah, exactly. So I think this is where it works really well. And like you said, it's built by the auctioneers, it's built by solicitors, everyone that's got experience of working within this industry have, helped build it.
Yeah, because we've got solicitors using it now, and it's speeding up their time so they can actually take on a lot more properties before the auction and do these auctions reviews quicker. Download the Docuwise report, see it on it, almost go tick, yep, this is correct, or whichever. I mean, it's always correct, but it's more that then they get that kind of human eye to it. And we've got Docuwise recommended solicitors that are usually recommended by you guys. They're trusted. Because that's another thing, I think it's really rare to find a good auction solicitor, isn't it? People fight over them. Not one, speed, and two, just knowing the auction, timescales, anything
method,
like that.
Oh my God. This was something that I learned really quickly when I started up down in the south because, we've got some really good, solicitors firms, and they're absolutely fantastic. And when I was an estate agent, they were brilliant. But none of them have auction experience. So when I started up, it was a real gap down there. And, I've worked with a really good local one now. Shout out to Wolferstons, they're absolutely brilliant. But it's taken time to obviously develop that relationship and get them to understand. Obviously, as we know, in private treaty, the same as auctions, you can have a really good seller's solicitor, but if the buyer's solicitor doesn't understand auctions, and this is why we say to people so often, it's not about going for ones that we recommend. We don't care who you use, we just want the sale to go through. It's about using the ones that have experience in auctions, understand the timescales. Fuck me, I used to get solicitors that would, you'd send everything out on auction day, memos, everything, legal pack would go across. And I'd had one where he'd message me the day before completion and said, I've just picked up the file. Have they exchanged, have they? And I'm like, yeah. 27 days ago. So, come on.
Get on.
Yeah, and it did complete, luckily. But I think people just don't realise, you can do it in those timescales, but you've got to be on it and you've got to understand what you're going into. So I think when buyers are looking for solicitors, my advice, get ones that have auction experience, because it'll
Yeah,
be worth your weight in
100%.
gold. This is the thing, if it goes past completion, you know, the notice to complete gets served. So a
Yeah.
lot of people don't realise what happens.
No, I don't think. I think that's another thing that people. I mean, even for
the-
me, I was like, there's so many different things in the Docuwise report that I had to learn of how the notice
Yeah.
is complete, and like, and I think Andrew Binstock said to me, he's like, you need to explain really what that is, because
Yeah.
like you say, people don't understand it, do they?
No. So for those people that don't know, when you obviously you have your set completion date, which is set in stone, it's legally binding because you've exchanged on auction day, hammer goes down. Then on your completion date, you are legally contracted to complete that day. If you don't, you will have a notice to complete, which is typically 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I say typically with a caveat there, because there are some people that do it a few days. So again, goes back to read the special conditions. But whatever that notice to complete is, you are incurring interest on those days. Then when it comes to completion date, ×2, then if you do not complete then, a lot of people think you'll just walk away from your deposit.
Yeah, they think they've paid that kind of fine or
Absolutely
whatever it is.
fine. Yeah, sod it. We'll walk away. You know, we don't want to complete on it. We'll just lose our deposit, which, you know, you can do. But the seller is well within their right that if they then go and resell that in a next auction and it sells for a lot less money, so say you've agreed to buy it at 180 and then the next auction it sells for 120, you are liable, or can be liable, for the difference for what it resells at. So it's just being really conscious of that when you're going into buying an auction property, make sure you're going to complete.
Yeah.
Because it could cost you. It's a very costly mistake,
That
isn't it?
property
If
is
you fuck
yours.
it up.
That hammer
Yeah.
goes down, that property is yours. And I think people don't really understand that. They think it's just sold and they can pull out. It's just a real...
And people confuse auction types a lot. And that's what I find since I've joined auctions. We just spend a huge amount of time doing education for people, because I think like modern method of auction has just confused everybody.
Yeah. I think
thinking
people
it's
don't
auction.
understand. They think it's an auction when it's a hybrid version for the estate agents, isn't it? Really, that's what it is. It's a way in which they can, I would say, advertise a property.
It's an in-between of an
is.
auctioneer and an estate agent.
Yeah.
And you can see why people did it. You know, I think they've created it because there's a gap in the market. You know, there's conveyancing timescales are so long now when you're buying a property. It's to try and speed that up and get some of the benefits of auction, but still buy with a mortgage. But the problem is that people are using it in the wrong way, which means the wrong type of properties go in there, you know, that you can't get a mortgage on, and then you go and put it into modern method. Makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
You know, if you
The
can't
high
get a mortgage
fees.
on it, why are you doing that? But then, yeah, the high fees are, I think, are the biggest thing, aren't they? And most sellers don't know what they're getting into. So, you know, if
they see a small, what they consider a small reservation fee at the time, but adding that on to then what the actual whole transaction.
It's normally like what, 4.8%
Yeah.
or something like that, minimum
Six
£6,000.
Yeah.
You know, you're buying a little 70 grand flat. That's quite a chunk
high.
on top. And, you know, the other thing, and I think this what a lot of people don't realise is everything in the UK with like the house buying system is that agents and, you know, any other property professional, they get paid on exchange or they get paid when it completes. You know, their job is to get it all the way through that process. Modern method, that doesn't work anymore.
No.
Because they're getting paid at the point of reservation. They haven't exchanged, they haven't completed. You know, they get paid at reservation. If that falls through, then that fee goes to the auctioneer and the estate agent. That seller gets nothing. And I think sellers don't realise that when they're signing into these agreements. And I think that's where, at least with traditional auctions, best type of auction, they will get some kind of financial penalty for the buyer then pulling out of this sale.
Yeah.
So I think that's, I'm obviously a big advocate on doing. And I think for me as well, like I work with a huge amount of estate agents, and I think a property either gets priced right for auction and it's right for auction, or it should be on the open market. I think a lot of agents use it purely as a get out of jail free card of like, oh, I'm just about to lose this seller because I've got no interest on it.
Slot it in there and do it this
way.
way.
Tell you what, you can stay your house for free and, you know, do it that way. And but they don't actually know what they're getting into. It's just signing them up to something else. So yeah, not as much of I'm a bit biased, obviously.
Well, you have to be.
Yeah, I think I can see why people do it and I can see why it was born, but I don't think the whole process is quite right yet.
Yeah, you said that a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
So it's just got to, hopefully this year and over the next coming...
Bang that drum.
Yeah.
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 On our joint talks, yeah.
Yeah,
but it's important, isn't it? Because I think I speak to people and they go, no, I hate auction. Like, I've been stung. And then when you start asking them questions, they didn't buy auction, they bought through modern method.
Yeah.
You know, or they've sold through modern method. And, you know, that's where they've had the bad experience. So I think it's just them knowing what they're actually getting into.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've got lots of stories to cover, haven't we? Lots of topics and
Lots of fun ones.
controversial opinions and things like that coming up in the next episodes that we have on. I think we should wrap it up. Probably before my ADHD kicks in and I forget I'm even where I am.
And just keep talking.
I'm like zoning into you.
But
Now
I think this was a good intro into who we are.
Very relaxed.
So people know who the hosts are. I think that's really important, isn't it? So
And this is what all the episodes are going to be going forward.
Light-hearted.
We want it to be very relaxed, light-hearted, and just have a bit of fun with it. Not, as we said, not property heavy, but still touching on the topics that hopefully you guys will find interesting.
And actually enjoy listening to when you're driving your car rather than just,
Maybe some guests you might zone out, but we'll see. Try and pick some good ones.
We've got some fun ones coming on. Okay.
So, thank you for listening to us. Myself, Olivia.
You could be me if you want.
And Olivia. Myself, Olivia. I wish I had.
And me, Jade.
But,
From Docuwise.